What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and the Prophet, Mr. Maui Yap. What's up, guys? Kumusta yung NSAC weekend natin?
Yung
Finally,
mas maganda, yung mas maganda than the last day of NBA basketball. Who were playing?
madami doon yung mga favorite mo, Gab. Mga, who?
The Who? Mga 10-day contracts no?
May nakita ko si John Polakidis. I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
The Who?
Polakidis? The Mavs.
We'll talk more about NBA. Don't worry, malapit na yung playoffs. We're going to talk more about the NBA soon. But for today, we are going to talk about our first impressions from Asia Basket's NSAC College Basketball Campus Tour started this weekend at San Beda College. We got to see for the first time, probably, a couple of UAAP teams. FEU Tamaraos played, Ateneo played, NU played, and Salle played. So we got a glimpse of 4 UAAP teams. This coming weekend, we'll get to see more teams. But siguro for the first opening weekend of Asia Basket and SAC, I just want to hear your first impressions. Let's start with you, Maui. Siguro anything that stood out for you in any of the games or team, player from the UAAP?
Yeah, ako actually, initial reaction ko to the broadcast of Asia Basket. I really like the broadcast. It felt like an NCAA or UAAP game. I think yung commentators, some of them are from the UAAP and the NCAA. I love the telecast so far. Nag-level up ang Asia Basket, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the tournament goes. But as far as initial impressions, siyempre I'll have to go first with Ateneo. Definitely, without a doubt. We are a blue podcast. We've always said that we're all three of us have blue in our blood. But initial reactions from Ateneo. I think I love how Ateneo has a lot of ball handlers, a lot of people who can create off the dribble. I think si Kieffer Alas is the real deal after seeing him for one game. I love how he doesn't force the action. I love how he waits to get into the action ng offense. And Ateneo really goes to him a lot when the offense doesn't go their way. And I love yung maturity in his game. He doesn't look like a rookie. I think that's the first thing that I can say. But I'm a bit concerned kasi he will get heavily scouted. And for sure teams will prepare from day one. This is not like other rookies na nanggugulat come UAAP. He will be a markman come UAAP season. But I love what I saw from players like Grayson Rogers, even the FSA si Barua had very good hands. Was very aggressive in traffic. I'm not sure now if si Adili is a lock to make it as the FSA of Ateneo. We have to see si Value Nua first. But I think si Barua has Adili has competition definitely for that FSA slot for Ateneo this coming season. I think si Barua is raw but has athleticism, and I love yung hands. I love how he has good hands. Kasi most of the time when you have FSAs who are very raw, that's the problem, di ba? Butterfingers. They cannot get drop passes. They can't lay up
Shout
the ball.
out to Chibuese Ike.
Ike was an example if you've been following Ateneo. But si Barua, he had pretty good hands. He was aggressive. He can dunk in traffic. But this is a team without an FSA. So we have to see him first with the team with an FSA. But another guy that I really like seeing si Baltazar. I think he has offense on 3 levels. He shoots from the outside. Although may parang hit yung shot niya, he's very versatile, and he'll probably get the minutes that Ladi and Escobar left. Ateneo has, I think for the nth season, Ateneo has a problem with its front line. That power forward and backup center slot is a big question mark now with Felbang. I think questionable to play for next season. So yeah, those are my initial reactions to Ateneo from the NSAC game.
Gab, anything that stood out for you?
Okay.
Doesn't have to be Ateneo.
Oh, I'm going to Ateneo. Ano ka ba? Ano ka ba? Yung hype ako ni Maui eh. And of course, this was part of our preview for the NSAC, and I brought this up. I wanted to see Ateneo. I wanted to see Kieffer Alas. I wanted to see how the team played, and I didn't catch around the first part of the first quarter, but when I caught up, I think it's around 4 minutes in the first quarter. I watched it and I'm like, who is this team? What? They are full court pressing every possession. They're playing four smalls with Divine Adili. They're sometimes they're playing five out. They're shooting a lot of threes. They're running the offense through the perimeter. I'm like, oh, what? I've never seen this from Tab Baldwin ever. And you know, if you followed Ateneo basketball, yung under Coach Tab Baldwin, he changes his offensive system nearly every single season. It's not just he's not a one-trick pony at all on offense. You know, like I'm gonna play motion. I'm gonna play this style forever. I'm a student of this type of offense. No, he's not that. He changes things up, and this is something new. It's like he was doing a Jamaica Harin system, and he was playing against Jamaica.
Against
Diba?
Jamaica.
Jamaica used to do this all the time when he was coaching the Ateneo Blue Eaglets. Press
The
all
juniors
game,
team, yeah.
diba?
Yeah.
Run the ball, press the entire game. Grabe, nakagulat. And I think smart on Coach Tab's part, given the amount of perimeter players and guards that he has, and he's pressing, and I think they forced Lyceum to 14 turnovers in the first half, 23 total yung for the game. Halata, they were trapping, they were forcing steals, delaying the shot clock. They were doing everything. So that's a surprise to me. I didn't think that they would play this way, given how slow they played last season, and now they're playing so fast. So maybe a good change. The other one that pleasantly surprised me, and Maui mentioned it, si Kieffer Alas. I thought his debut in an Ateneo uniform in an official preseason tournament, I don't couldn't have gone any better. As Maui said, he didn't look like a rookie. He looked like the number one option. Diba? And not any one of his baskets were forced. Yung sabi ni Maui, very composed. There was a play where he got a pick from Divine Adili, drove middle to the free throw line, lost his defender, pero may help side from Ian Espinosa from the opposite side. Faked the pass, hinintay niya na bumalik yung defender kay Espinosa. Look at the basket. Wala bantay, just shot a mid-range. Diba? Usually mga rookies, magpapanik yun eh. Diba? Once may help defender agad, papasa na yun or ititira na niya eh, or will force something eh. There was a possession where si Jared Bahay had it on the opposite wing. There was a help defender, Kieffer's man, Jared Bahay, fast swing to the opposite side to Kieffer Alas, hard closeout, just attack the closeout, went to the basket, you for a layup. I think that was his first basket of the game. He was also playmaking. He ran a pick and roll with Logan Baltazar, pass it to him on the baseline for an easy layup. So full package, and he was trying also on the defensive end. Yun ang nagustuhan ko. Aside from the offense, he was also giving it defensively. He was forcing turnovers, getting into the passing lanes, wasn't getting beat off the dribble. He had some lapses on the help side. You know, he gave up a few baskets behind him. Pero overall, you like to see him trying and buying into the defensive end. So, uh, pretty happy with how Kieffer Alas played. And also his threes, they weren't isolation threes. They were all off the system. Two of them were assists from Jared Bahay. And that's the other part that they wanted to go with. Ang ganda ng chemistry nila ni Jared Bahay. And given they've only been,
Yep.
practicing for like 1 to 2 months since Kieffer arrived in NBTC from the US. I like it. It seems like they've been playing for a long time. A lot of Kieffer's baskets were off Jared Bahay assists. I think they still have to work on how to give more offense to Jared Bahay. I think Jared Bahay also needs to contribute offensively. Sabi nga ni Maui, if it's all gonna be Kieffer Alas taking on that offensive load, he's gonna get scouted. No, so I think they have to work on that. I don't think it has to be your turn, my turn. I think they have to play off each other, play off the attention that each one is gonna get, and they have to score. They have to hit their shots. For what goes to my other point about Ateneo, they are small. This is small ball.
How
to
worried
the
are you about Ateneo's small ball?
I'm very worried. They didn't have a backup center. They had their two FSAs, and we know come UAP season, those two
Isa
FSAs
lang.
can play in the same game. Only one can. They don't have a backup big. Sabi nga ni Maui, we've been hearing a lot. Lars Fjellvang is most probably not gonna come back for season 89. We know people within the Ateneo community, and it's not looking good for Lars Fjellvang. So, a guy like si Vince Castillejos, who they recruited last season, who's kind of big, a guy that they just recruited from Ateneo de Cebu, si Jacob Blackson, he might have to make the lineup. I don't know yet how they play from short stints. It seemed like both are kind of raw, but we don't have a choice. I think Ateneo has to put in bigs. There was a point in the second half, Sammy, I think we both were watching this. They were playing all smalls. We were so small. So that worries me. If we're gonna play small ball and we can't shoot, that's a whole other problem. We shot
Which is what
14%.
happened.
Yeah, we shot 14% from three. We got by forcing a lot of turnovers from Lyceum. It depends. Teams are gonna adjust. They're not gonna turn the ball over that much, but we have to shoot better from three. Guys like Waki Espina, Kyle Gamber, he can't shoot yung 2 for 11. Si Waki Espina has to shoot better. Drew Bong, oh my goodness,
Bongo.
has to shoot better. If we're gonna play small, we have to hit outside shots to open up the lanes. So that guys like Bahay, guys like Kieffer Alas, they can penetrate to the basket. It's nice to get a win. I don't think it was a good win necessarily. I think they made a lot of mistakes. They shot horribly. Most of the guys had a lot of defensive lapses also, especially towards that 16-0 run, I think in the second quarter.
Yeah.
If you remember that, Sammy,
They couldn't pull away eh. Dapat pull away na sila.
Ateneo
Diba?
got up by a good margin, double digits, and then
they couldn't
18
score.
points. Then a 16-0 run, and Lyceum, you cut the lead to 2. They couldn't score at all. Again, the outside shot has to be better because that's gonna make or break it for a small ball lineup. Just watch the Warriors when they're small and they can't hit their outside shots, they suck. And we're gonna be that way if we can't hit our outside shots. And it can't just be Kieffer Alas. It has to be everyone. If you're gonna be inside there to spread the floor, you have to spread the floor.
Yeah, I think you guys talked about it. Syempre si Kieffer Alas yung siguro star of the show. The first time we get to watch him play against other parang UAAP NCAA level competition. The hype is real. He looks legit. You guys talked about it. I love that you talked about si Rogers also. Looks very athletic. was also very aggressive driving to the basket. So I know a lot of Boleros listeners always comment about Grayson Rogers, and may mga nagme-message pa sa atin na, oh, kamusta si Grayson Rogers? So there you go. We got our Grayson Rogers sighting. But I think for me, what stood out for Ateneo is yung size. And I'm also worried. I agree with you, Gab. I'm very worried with Ateneo because I think this is like the third season in a row where we're not the biggest team. And at least last year, let's say we had Divine Adili, at least we had someone like Kimani Ladi to sort of play small ball big for us. But I think this year it's going to be tough because a lot of the other big guy options are rookies. You mentioned the two guys in Castillejos. Another big guy that's coming from the juniors division is si JM Leal. But again, like we're going to rely on a rookie to be that sort of like alternative big for us if not for the FSA. So yun lang yung I think problem for me. Would really like to see JM Leal play for Ateneo also and uh add to that dynamic. I think slot into that 4 position left by
I
Kimani
think he,
Ladi.
he has to make the lineup just for his
Yeah,
size alone.
lock it in. Lock it in. Um Speaking of lacking bigs, I think another team that was surprisingly small during their first game was Lasal, not fielding any FSAs against San Beda, and they lost by 1 thanks to Mason Amos 3
Full
full
court.
court heave, buzzer beating heave. But I know we've seen Lasal play a ton already, but anything that you guys saw from that game worth mentioning or maybe overreacting to?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Lasal, I think si Gab will probably say the same. It's set in stone, their rotation for next season. I think we've been saying the whole off season, the biggest question is how can they replace Mike Phillips, who will be their FSA. Just to go back to Ateneo, Sam, I think it's not as dire need to have a ton of big men because last season it was shown, diba? We were one injury away, which happened. Si Divine Adili, one injury away from literally not having a big man capable of matching up against other FSA and top big men like Mike Phillips. I think having two FSAs, teams will be fielding more. Teams will be trying to convert more players into wing players or power forwards than big men, which I think will be the case also for Lasal. They have Amos, they have Pablo. That will be enough for me. I think the bigger question right now is si Agunane. Will he be healthy? I think they've lost some of the FSAs. TJ Adams, I think, to injury also. So who will be that FSA? Will we see? I think all of these teams, maybe outside of UP, will be looking for a one and done big man. Kasi everyone is lacking di ba? That big man. Even Adamson, we talk about a team, di ba, who lost Cedric Manzano. So a lot of these teams are definitely on the lookout for a big man, a power forward slash center. At Kimani Ladi type of player or Kai Balungay type of player, maybe somebody who can play both slots because we're gonna be experiencing something new next season. First time we can have two FSAs in our lineup. A bit only one can play per game, as Gab mentioned.
Ako sa Lasal, one, Jacob Cortez, still awesome.
Grabe.
Wow. Grabe. Especially that first quarter, I think he scored, 9 of the first 15 points of Lasal, 9 of the first 14. And, he was definitely comfortable there because it was his old stomping grounds.
Old practice facility.
Yeah, and by the way, that's also one of the things I wanted to shout out to Asia Basket and this format. I think we said this last season in Asia Basket. The home and away thing is just incredible.
Yeah. Yep.
Ganda. I mean,
Ganda.
and
Full house, no?
full house. Diba? The San Beda crowd was there cheering
Especially
on
yung
their
San Beda
team.
Lasal, no?
Yeah. The Lasallians came and supported their team, and it was a good atmosphere. I loved it. I don't think you can have drums in there because it's such a small arena, a small
Ta- yeah,
complex.
yeah, tapos naririnig mo ba yung yung background chatter, like tina-trash talk nila like si Jacob or si John T, like for fun. Like I remember yung may bad call kay Jacob. Yung he missed the three, he saved it pero tinawagan siyang out of bounds. Tapos parang so it was a bad call. It was obviously saved by Jacob. Pero parang may sumigaw na something like, yan tuloy, papunta-punta ka pa kasing UAAP buti nga. Parang may gumana na sumigaw. Tawa ako ng tawa. Like, you could hear like people talking about Jacob, John T. I just love it. I love the home and away setup. I love the atmosphere. I wish we could do this in the UAAP, but obviously it's a lot tougher kapag bigger crowds. But yeah, go ahead, Gab.
Yeah. Ako sa Lasal, again, we've seen Lasal yung NUP for that matter for what, a couple of months already. We've been watching their games, so it's nothing new. The only thing that surprised me was they're using a lot of Irish Kokia as their backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure that's the right move. He's not eligible for the upcoming season. He's season 89, diba?
Yeah.
So if I were Coach Topex, I would actually give a guy like Gilan Kines more run in these types of games. Why is Gilan Kines stuck to the bench? I mean, he got some third string point guard minutes last season, had some backup point guard minutes last season when Baklaan was injured. I think they should try him more. I mean, he is gonna have to play more minutes come season 89. So why is Koke getting that? Is it because I just heard this from the one calling the game? His former teammate Dan Marcelo, who was awesome by the way for yung for San Beda, was playing on
Best
the other
player
side.
ata.
Yeah, I love him. Si Dan Marcelo, I thought akala ko nga he's like a unknown high school kid from somewhere. Tapos narinig ko, he's already
Former
a college
teammates.
kid. He's already old. So pleasant surprise. I think he was one of the most entertaining players of that game, Stan Marcelo. But yeah, I don't get the playing of Irish Koke as the main backup point guard behind Jacob Cortez. I think they should go with Gilan Kines or some other point guard that they have there, Ethan Alian or whatever. Whoever they decide to get that backup point guard role for the next season. It's weird to me that they're trying Irish Koke, no? I think that they should.
Si Mikey Cortez wala, no? Injured.
Yun din.
Injured pa rin.
Wala pa. Injured pa si Mikey.
Ayun. So,
Baka makamoy sa Lyceum, Gab. Si Rubico got a lot of minutes.
Oh, yun nga eh. Hindi, if you're Lasal, you have to think about a guy like JD Kagulaman, diba? Who you benched your rookie year and decided to go elsewhere and, became one hell of a player. Diba? So, what if Gilan Kines, thinks of the same thing? Why am I not getting minutes? I'm gonna go elsewhere and get my opportunity. That's just weird to me. Other things, it's more of San Beda actually. I mentioned si Dan Marcelo. One guy that I thought was pretty underrated. Last offseason, everyone was talking about John T. Miller, Jumel Puno. I thought Zed Etulia was pretty good last offseason. And he was pretty good in this game.
He was good here. I thought he should have been best player.
Diba?
He was so good.
And he's impressed me every time I watch him. And I thought some UAP team, sorry to the San Beda fans out there, I really thought some UAP team would try and get him out of their roster because honestly, he's long, he's pretty damn athletic, he can shoot from the outside, he can defend. I think this guy is pretty good. I've had that opinion of him since last off season. So
ganda ng size niya, no?
Ganda. Ang haba, tapos may tira sa labas. Tapos ang bilis niya yung mag-rotate yung on defense. I was pretty impressed. There was one play in that San Beda LaSalle game where Jonty Miller was being guarded by Aldous Torculas, and then he
Na-block
drove to the
siya.
basket. Yung drove left was blocked by Aldous, his former team. Well, they didn't
I was
become
gonna
teammates
say that.
officially, but I assume in practice, and in preseason games, they were teammates. He was blocked by his former teammate. Then on the other end, si Aldous
Si
nag-drive, and
Pablo.
he was blocked by his former teammate, si Luis Pablo. So,
Yeah. And then
Pablo,
nag-thank
unang-una
you si
talagang
Jonty
shooting
kay
players.
Pablo. Nag-thank you si Jonty kay
ay, thank you
Pablo
ba si
after
Johnny?
that eh. Parang, thanks bro. Binawian mo ako. What are your thoughts on Jonty just scoring 4 points? Barely played. So I think nothing to worry about. People were sort of jeering at him sa San Beda pero hindi naman like Mason Amos versus Ateneo level bad. But thoughts on
Naka-champion eh.
Jonty? Oh,
Naka-champion.
champion eh.
Yeah, I think ako same comments okay, Gab, when it comes to Kokya. Diba? I think this is not the time to really get John T. Miller a lot of minutes. Diba? You want to lock up that rotation for LaSalle. You want to see if players like Dungo, players like Makalalag, Gulena, sino yung mag-next level. Because they need scorers for next year. Diba? They lost Baklaan. They lost Phillips. They need players who can not just score but create. Diba? They use Mike Phillips as an offensive valve. They used Baklaan as another guy who can play, make, and score. So, a lot of the scoring load will fall on these guys. Diba? I think si Abadam was aggressive all throughout the game. A bit not shooting pretty well. But, yeah, I just have to comment si Terculas, I think, is probably an MVP candidate despite having a bad game today. Just look at the stat line, bro. Yeah, he had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. 2 steals, 1 block. So I think this guy will have a pretty good statistical season for San Beda. This is the type of guy you draft in fantasy basketball, Gab.
Yep. I think he will end up being the biggest multo. I think he's already the biggest multo of the UP Fighting Maroons, of him walking, because they needed him yung last season, and
They could have used him.
I think we said this, that he's gonna have a one hell of a NCAA season. I love Aldous. I think I've loved him since season 86. That he was one of UP's best players, and he's grabe, ang galing. Yung the things he does on the court might not be flashy sometimes, and sometimes they are flashy. He might not score a ton, but he does so many things really well.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the next team. I want to talk about FEU because I think we did the preview episode, and Gab, there was one player that you brought up nung preview episode natin, and he actually played, si Zayn Mahmood. Your boy, Zayn Mahmood, got some minutes for FEU. So, good call on that. Nandun yun sa bingo card ni Gab, so shout out to Gab.
Is he my boy now also? It's always been PJ.
Your boy, Zayn Mahmood.
Gusto ko yung mga
Sinama
big
mo siya
boys,
sa
no?
preview episode mo eh. But yeah, I think itong FEU team is dangerous, I think. If you look at the starting lineup, it's still the same starting lineup from last year. You still have Mo Konate, arguably one of the top, or if not the best, FSAs from the past 2 seasons. You have reigning MVP, John Ray Pasaol, and the Ateneo killer, Joric Bautista. Hit 3 of 4 from 3 today. Bakit ka bumalik, Joric Bautista? Akala ko ba alis ka na? So I think FEU is dangerous. If you remember last year, they almost made it to the Final Four. Unfortunately, Ateneo could not keep their end of the bargain, losing to LaSalle. So FEU missed out. But I think for me, the biggest question mark here is, when do we get confirmation that we will see guys like Burgos and Cabonillas commit and play for FEU? Because we know they're in the lineup. We've talked about that. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to play for them in the seniors division kasi that happened to Colin Sakoe last year. He played for NU in the preseason. He was part of the lineup but moved to UST. So for me, imagine if you had Pasaol, Mongkopa, Konate, Bautista, and add Cabonillas, add like a Burgos, add those, yung size, tsaka yung offensive versatility that Cabonillas brings to the table instead of like a Jedrick Daa as a starter. I think that would make FEU dangerous. But what do you guys think? Anything that stood out for you? Yung tunay na your boy, Gab, si Kirby Moncopa. He looked good. Thoughts on Kirby Moncopa maybe?
Nothing much on FEU. This is a run it back yung situation. They're gonna run it back, and it's exactly the same team as last season. And I think if you're an FEU fan, if you're Jeffrey, hello Jeffrey, uh, this is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you're running it back. No one's transferring to another school. No one's doing a VJ pre. You're running it back. That's a good thing.
So far.
So far, it's a bad thing because, as you said, Sammy, they don't have any significant pieces to add except for Zayn Mahmood. We were looking forward to either Cabonillas or Burgos, the main studs from their championship FEU Diliman team, and they were not here in this game, so that's a bad sign. So yun, both good and bad. The starting five still looks really solid. That starting five, I think, is still gonna play a ton of minutes. If you look at the box score, there were only four guys off the bench who played more than 10 minutes. Zayn Mahmood, si Rojan Montebayor, si Luke Felipe, and si Adam Nakay, who I think is gonna be back in the rotation. Remember, he didn't play much in last season after having some rotation minutes in his rookie year. Last year was nowhere to be found. Now I think he's back in the good graces of Coach Sean Chambers, so maybe he's gonna see some minutes. But yeah, this is probably gonna be an 8 to 9 man rotation for the entire season, unless you get other guys like Burgos or Cabonillas joining the fray. Last season they had si Owens come in late and get some minutes because of his shooting. So unless that happens, this is it. This is gonna be FEU's team. This is gonna be the same starting five. Jedrick Da, I'm still pretty damn disappointed. He still can't shoot.
Make your threes, brother.
What the hell is this with this guy? We've said this since his rookie season. That's all you have to work on, Jedrick Da. Just freaking hit your shots. That's all. That's your job. Hit your threes, my guy. So yeah, so that's the concern for me, si Jedrick Da. But the other guys, Moncopa, Konate, Bautista, Pasaol, they're gonna be the main guys. They're gonna be the main usage guys. They're gonna score a lot. They'll be lucky if they can get some sort of production from their bench. On Zayn Mahmood's part, I love that he was aggressive. I think there were 2 straight possessions. He just drove to the basket. Drew
First
fouls.
quarter.
Nung first quarter, he got the ball, he brought it up, and then drive agad. Papakitang gila si Zayn Mahmood. But they're gonna need him. Again, they don't have a backup big. So they're gonna need him to play minutes. So I'm happy for him. He did make the move from USC to FEU to get more minutes. I mean, he was in Coach Pido's doghouse for the entire season. So yeah, it's the same FEU team, same FEU rotation, same FEU roster for the most part. The game was nothing much to be talked about. It was kind of a blowout after the first quarter, so nothing more to touch on there.
Yeah, I think I have the same thoughts. I think with FEU, what you have to look out for is really yung bench production. Diba? Who will be that consistent guy? Because as Gab mentioned, yung starting lineup will definitely play 30 minutes a game again this coming season. So maybe look at guys like Felipe, guys like Nakay, Montemayor, I don't know, Mahmood. if he can be more consistent just to get Konate some minutes to rest. But for FEU, it's really about getting some sort of contribution from their bench, diba? I think the starters are pretty much locked up. Bautista coming back as really tightened yung rotation. Definitely si Coach Sean will play these guys the most minutes again this coming UAAP season.
Yeah, and speaking of not uh, playing their starters, no? On the other end naman, yung NU did not play a ton of their vets or a ton of their starters. Omar John was missing. Your boy Palacielo did not play, was in street clothes. Humamoy Francisco did not play for NU. Despite that, they won. We got to see a ton of new faces for NU,
The
but
only
also some familiar
thing the only thing
names.
notable yung from this game sa amin is Coach Jeff Napa got ejected. That was the
Parang
only
first
thing.
half pa lang eh, no?
Oh, I was watching this game on a hot Sunday afternoon, and Coach Jeff Napa was hot. Oh, he was hot, and he got a first technical. He was complaining to the ref, and then they zoomed in. They zoomed in on him, and you could mouth out. You can read his lips. He shouted at the ref from on the opposite side of the court, "Bobo ka!" And you can read it, "Bobo ka!" He said it like he shouted at him like 4 times. He was luck. Actually, I think the ref gave
Baka
him
gusto
a
na
ton
niya
of
umuwi,
leave.
Gab. Baka gusto na niya umuwi. Pagod
No,
na siya.
Sam. Even when he got ejected, he stayed on the bench. He didn't want to
Mainit si Coach
go.
Jeff.
He didn't want to leave.
Mainit si Coach
It,
Jeff.
co- it caused like a 15-minute delay. Like si Jai Reyes went onto the court and was discussing things with the ref. I thought it was clear cut. He got ejected. So what are we doing? It was ang tagal ng
Why are you
delay.
there?
Oh, what a moment for the first game we ever saw NU in an official preseason tournament, and Coach Jeff Napa gets ejected. Uh, Ganda because I think the refs, in fairness to the refs, they gave Jeff Napa a long leash. He shouted Bobo ka like 4 or 5 times over and over. And it was only like in the third mention, the third shout, that the ref who was trying to stop him wasn't even the ref that he was shouting at. Decided the game, okay, I'm giving you a second technical. You're out of here. We can't have that because ang lutong. Honestly, if they put audio that there in that courtside camera, you can hear the crispness of that insult to the ref. Grabe. Jeff, as for the game, wala naman masyado. It was a lot of the second stringers. Buti na sila matalo nung end game. I think it was a 11-0 run to cut a 13-point lead with 3 minutes left to a 2-point game. They almost lost this game. But it was a lot of the young guys. It was a lot of Chad Cartel who just played in their boys
Juniors.
basketball team. Yeah, sila Jedrick Solomon who didn't see a ton of minutes last season.
Pearl Figueroa.
Si Curl Figueroa, again, another incoming rookie, but nothing much to take from this game until we see the main rotation guys like Kumamoy, Francisco, Santiago, Palacielo, Omar John, and maybe si Moody Asana. Then maybe we'll get something out of NU. But Coach Jeff Napa, thank you for our first preseason moment. Galit na galit eh.
I was hoping like someone like Modi Asana. I would get to see someone like Modi Asana. This is the off season is probably the best time for him to like get back into the rotation and playing because we last time we saw him he injured his ACL, I think, right? He tore his ACL. So hoping that he gets to recover because that would be a good one to punch for NU sa FSA lineup nila, Diasana and Omar John. Maui, anything to add before we do a preview of this weekend's games?
Yeah, I think we covered naman the teams. Si Gab is right. We cannot give a very good assessment of NU right now because 5 or 6 of their top players did not play. So I think si Coach Jeff is trying to maybe try out some of these players and see which ones can make the team and eventually give him some boost off the bench. But generally, nothing to say really when it comes to NU right now. 'Di ba? I think off air we talked about this. I was kind of surprised some of the players didn't play pala, are still eligible. But I'm excited to see. I think a huge part of NU will depend on how Francisco, Humamoy, and Garcia handles the ball better because they will get a ton of usage now that Figueroa and Manansala have graduated. So I think that's who's gonna be the X factor, the key guy for NU. That's the biggest question this off season for me.
Okay, so this coming weekend, since we're doing games in the different schools, this weekend is going to be at the Ateneo Blue Eagle Gym. So, a couple of UAAP teams playing. We have FEU versus Letran, Adamson versus LaSalle. That's a big one. Ateneo versus Benilde on Saturday, and then the next one on Sunday, the big ones. UST versus NU, LaSalle versus Mapua, and probably the most, hindi naman the most anticipated, but the biggest game for Ateneo so far, biggest test, UP versus Ateneo. So, Battle of Katipunan in Blue Eagle Gym, that's going to be interesting. If we saw LaSalle versus San Beda packed nung weekend, this is probably going to be a packed, jam-packed game. Anything um, you're looking forward to sa games na to, or anything that you wanna, I guess, anything to watch out for? Gab.
UST versus NU. Anytime Colin Sakoe goes up against NU, he wants the smoke. He always wants to give it to his former school. So I think we saw that twice last season. Very entertaining, and every time you call it Sakoe, you matches up with his former school. I don't think there was a good separation there, and I hope he plays. I hope Omar John plays. They have a good interaction.
Feel mo ilalaro ni Coach Jeff Napa yung big boys against UST.
I will be pretty disappointed if he doesn't. I mean, sayang naman. I mean, I don't want to see.
We gotta be petty.
Oh, we gotta be I don't know, but we gotta get a good game, Colin Sakoe versus Omar John again against the NU Bulldogs. I want to see it. UP versus Ateneo. I will say this to the Ateneo fans out there: temper your expectations.
Wag kayong mag-expect, basically.
I said it.
Ateneo is back.
Ay, Maui! Maui!
Hindi ko butuloy ako. Hindi ko in-expect yun,
Bawal yan, Maui. Bawal. Basta ako, nangyaya ka, Maui. para sa akin,
ikaw nag-promise ka, sasabihin mo lang yun pa nag-champion na tayo.
Oo, champion tayo. Wala. Temper expectations. As I said, Ateneo is small and UP has a huge front line. So, it's not looking good. But it's a good test. I hope I'll be able to watch, and hope I'll see the other guys there. The other teams, just hope the main guys play. We get full rotations. I hope we get to see NU in its full rotation against UST. That's it. I just hope for good games.
I hope we see the junior players play. JM Leal, Cabs Cabonillas, si Burgos. So I want to see them as part of the seniors teams. Maui.
Yeah, ako I think FSA watch. 'Di ba? Some teams haven't paraded FSAs. Some teams are thinking which FSA to pick. Two options na 'di ba, for next season. And I think it's very crucial. 'Di ba? I've always said the most important positions will remain to be that center and point guard slot come UAAP time. And teams will experiment this off-season, definitely on that FSA slot. So I'm excited to see. I don't know if LaSalle can parade one this coming weekend. UP, we haven't seen, diba? We haven't seen some of their FSAs this off-season. So,
Sinuruka, hindi pa naglalaro.
Tinuruka, which I thought was probably a lock. So, I don't know. Let's see. So, but yeah, definitely Battle of Katipunan. Diba? Even if it's an off-season game, both teams will definitely bring their A game. And I think what I'm most excited is Blue Eagle Gym. Diba, Gab? We have such a good memory. The last time we were there was just so crazy. Hopefully, walang triple overtime game. Because I want to play pickleball on Sunday.
Wow, pickleball era ni Maui up!
Comment down below kung gusto niyo sumali sa pickleball ni Maui Up. Yeah, I think that's it for today's episode. Shout out to Asia Basket for inviting us to the games. We'll be there this coming weekend at the Blue Eagle Gym. We'll try to cover the games after that. Stay tuned for that. We'll do more coverage of the Asia Basket, the UAAP teams playing, and also more NBA games coming up, especially since it's almost the playoffs. So stay tuned for that. That's it for today's episode. We'll see you again next time. If you haven't yet, please like this video, share with your friends, subscribe. Bye-bye. Ingat!